Hello. Check this because, of course, I didn't check the sound again. Green is fried. Test, test, test. Yep, it's working. Yay. I am exhausted. After this class, I'm going and taking a nap because I've been up since 4 a.m. and I am tired. It's not nice. Not fun. Not even a little bit. Ugh. Yeah, so if I'm a little bit punchy today, I'm sorry. Not much I can do about it. Okay, let's get rolling here. First thing I have to show you and tell you about, and we're going to do the blocks reverse today. So I'm going to do block 22 first, and then we'll go to block 21. They use basically the same techniques in each blocks, and that's just what I have laid out. So that's what I'm doing. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Okay, first thing I have to show you is I have an older split racks. And let's see, I don't know if there's a date on this. I don't think there is. Anyway, this is one of the older split rack rulers. So it doesn't have the optional line. And I had to put that in. And there's a couple of other lines that this pattern specifically asks you for. So one is you're going to put a line 1/2 inch above your 1x2 line right here. So if you can see, I did it in red. You don't have to do it in permanent marker. You can actually put like Scotch tape on the ruler on the and or on the back of the ruler and draw a line. I recommend Scotch tape because it's see-through. And the other line we need is this one right here, which is 3/8, I want to say, from the solid line. It's about 3/8 of an inch. Okay. This optional line, I'll show you how I came up with that specific angle. All right. First things first. Let me see. Hold on. Oh, another thing you might want is the split rack bonus units because it really does help you figure out how to do this block or on a regular basis. Plus, if you want to do other sizes, it will give you the size. Okay, first part A. All right, for me, part A on this unit is this navy blue side triangle. So when you're looking at these units, these are part A and these are part B. Part A and part B do not have to be the same colors, and they can be any colors. For now, on this pattern, this block, part A is the same color, and I have part B in different colors. But as you can see here, I did a smaller block where I did part B, part A is the same color and part B is the same color. Anyway, in the pattern, we'll show you exactly how to cut these. Okay. It will tell you. So in the pattern, I believe it tells us we're going to fold our fabric up approximately 2 inches. And I did get my ruler out just to make sure I'm pretty close to what I need. There you go. Then we fold it, put it on the side. So for the part A is a triangle, and I did my triangles first so that I could figure out how to get this unit, this angle. And we are going to bring it down so that the 1.5 by 3 line is on the bottom. And this other line that we did that's about 3/8 of an inch in is on your fold. So that's your A triangles. In order to get the fold, the angle for this other line, which isn't on my ruler, because like I said, I have an older version. I started with the tip of the triangle, approximately a little bit more than 1/4 of an inch down, about 3/8 of an inch down from the 1.5 by 3 inch line. And I put the angle here, and that's how I got my angle, my angled line. So then I just put my ruler up against my fabric and I drew my angle. If you have one of the newer rulers, then you don't have to do that. So that's how I cut the first one. Now, if you want to cut a second one, you don't have to fold again. We only fold in the first one to get it to have the right size triangle. I turn it back over so it's right side up and my angle is over here. And then you're going to put that angle on your fabric, on the edge of your fabric, and then cut again. And this goes the same for any size strip, any size triangle. Okay. Now, for cutting the B part, whether in this one it's teal and this one it's white, either way, it's done the same way. And it's the pattern tells you exactly how far to fold up your fabric. So on this one, we are going to fold it up 4 inches. I can't think. My brain is like fried. Almost there. A little bit more. There you go. Okay. So it's up 4 inches. And then we're going to use the solid line here. And we're at the 1.5, 3.5, or whichever one line it is. It depends on how wide your strip is. He is making sure you cut it off. And then when you unfold this, there is your angle. Now, you need to make another one, then I'm going to turn it. So this is the angle I cut, right? Now, I'm going to turn it wrong side out. and fold it back up again. And fold it up enough that I need to. So you're flip-flopping these fabrics, whether you're doing your B's or your A's, like that, backwards and forwards, right side and wrong side. And then I've got my angles set up. There you go. So hopefully you got that. Just watch the video back again multiple times if you need to in order to make sure you understand it. And that's where the bonus unit split Rex technique sheet will really help you, because it shows you exactly where to put the fabric, how to fold the fabric. It's not going to tell you necessarily sizes, but it works really, really well. Okay, so these are all my extras. So this is what we're making. And this is the same no matter what color fabric or what size you make. It's done the same way. So I literally will lay this out on my sewing machine table just as I want to put it together. And I sewed this one to this one. Now I'm going to sew this one to this one and then put them together. And in order to sew these together, you want this point to be approximately 1/4 of an inch. The little triangle. I'll show you over here a little bit better. Just a little closer. So I've got that door gear as at least a quarter of an inch. Okay, so that when I go to sew this, I'm going to start with my needle right in this little V. And you don't even need a ruler to double check that or nothing, especially if you have the 1/4 inch foot with the guide. Because what I do is I just put the needle right in that little V and make sure that the guide is right up against my fabric. Then I know it's going to be close to 1/4 of an inch. Oops. Thread. There you go. By doing that 1/4 of an inch, you're going to be very close to nice, up to a nice straight edge. Now we're going to iron this seam open, because there's a lot of points in here, and by ironing it the seam open, it's going to create less bulk. Now remember, the whole idea with Studio 180 and Deb Tucker is we're making them all bigger than we need and then trimming them down to the right size. Heat up my iron again, as usual. All right. Now we're going to go back to the ruler to make sure we've cut off our dog ears and make sure that we're nice and straight. That optional line is right there, and that's what I'm going to use on the seam with the ruler up against the edge of the fabric, just to make sure everything is nice and straight. Now, we need to put these both together. And in order to line them up, we're going to go and put a 1/4 of an inch line right here over the seam and a 1/4 inch mark on the back of this over this side over the seam. Now, I'm going to go through the seam at my 1/4 inch mark here on the back side of here. And I'm going to go into the 1/4 inch mark on in the seam on this side. I'm going to hold them both of the fabrics pieces together with my pin straight up and down. I'm going to put pin in before I take my other pin out. Now the idea is we went and made this mark. So when we sew, starting from here, going all the way down, you want to make sure you stitch right on that 1/4 inch mark, the line that you marked. Stop with my needle down in the seam before I take my pin out. Readjust, make sure we're all lined up. And I'm going to iron this seam open. There we go. Follow the directions, and these directions are pretty good once you learn how to do these blocks. But I definitely recommend the bonus rec technique sheet for sure, because it really will help you a lot. Oops. Sorry. No, no, lay down. All right. Now to trim it up. Nola. Shh. So I know this block, because of the directions, is going to be hold on. Is 6.5 by 3.5. So, which is finished 6 by 3. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to put this X. I've got the 3 by 6 line here and a 6.5 by 3.5 line down here. So I'm going to make sure the X is right in the center and it follows the seam. And I'm going to cut one side, the other side, and turn it around. Line up down here with the 6.5 and the 3.5 on the bottom. Make sure my mark is right on my seam. Try that again. There you go. And then cut my other two sides. Here we go. Get rid of all my yucky fabric. All right. Now we're ready to put this block together. Because this is all that I have left to do. So when we put this together, as you can see, I did all open seams all the way around. I sewed these on and ironed it out. Then I did, well, I should say I signed these on, sewed these on and then ironed them out. Then I sewed these with the seams in so that I could line my seams up. Seams up. Blah, blah, blah. I told you I was going to get a little punchy today. So all I have to do is connect these two blocks. And then we're ready to do the next one. Just doing a 1/4 of an inch seam. And we're going to iron these seams out. You've seen me do this plenty of times. So here it is. Actually, I'm going to iron the seam in, not out. Give me a second. All right. Sorry about that. So here we go. And I would sew this one from this side with this on top so you can see where your points are. So we're just going to nest our seams. Actually, I got to do this the other way. Oh, God. There we go. So as I'm sewing, you have a seam here because we've got these seams ironed open. So you have your seam here and you have your seam here. So we want to make sure we're on the top side or the right side of that X. That will make sure that you don't cut your points off. I don't know if you can see it, but you have your seam here that is out ironed open. And then we've got this seam here where we added the corner pieces to this split Rex unit. We want to make sure when I sew, I'm going to be on the right side of that X. No, I don't cut my points off. You don't want to get this far and then cut your points off. And if you have to, just do a scant 1/4 of an inch. Make sure you pick your foot up so you have nice even seams and neat seams. Beauteous. There we go. Isn't that pretty? I like this block. I like all star blocks. I love star blocks. I think they're great. And that's one of the reasons why I wanted to do this quilt, because it's got so many different stars, version of stars. All right. Next. So this is, whoops, this is block 21. That last one was block 22. So the only difference between the other split rack and this split rack is how you cut the fabric. So for instance, you're going to cut both your A's and your B's parts, but then this one is using the split rack with, they're all going in the same direction, by the way. So you're going to keep your fabric single layer. And you use your split rack the traditional way with the line going on the side and cut. That's how you get this unit. Just make sure you check and you're doing the right side. Meaning, if you do it this way, because this is, we only want the units going in one direction, you're going to want your fabric facing down, not facing up. That will give you the correct side for this unit. That's the only difference. So then we would sew these 2 points together and then sew this one on. Other than that, they're exactly the same. So I'm just going to put this one together. So just make sure you cut your fabric facing down for this part, just for this C, what they call in the direction C unit, C portion. Right. So I'm gonna do this one first. And I'm gonna nest these seams just like we have been doing. Go. When in doubt, if you're afraid that you're gonna hit your points, just do a scant 1/4 of an inch seam. And I'm gonna iron this seam open because there is still a lot of points and angles. Neat. Whoop, wrong one. So now I'm gonna sew this one on. I'll show you how they go together shortly when I do this side. Now, this one, there is a seam to align here, but it's an angle. So what do we do with an angle? We can do it this way. Maybe it'll be easier to see. So I'm going to put a 1/4 of an inch mark going over these two seams. Here is my 1/4 of an inch. Yep, right there. Right at the tip of the point. There. Now we can sew them. And hopefully I did it. Okay. Yep, there we go. Didn't hit my points. Well, I mean, I did cut the points off, I should say. And we're going to iron this seam open also. There's a lot of open seams in this one, which you kind of have to expect when you have blocks that have a lot of points coming together. It just cuts down on the bulk. If not, you're going to have a really hard button right at the seam. I'm ready for a nap. I'm not going to be getting much done today, I can tell you that. All right. Now, putting these together, as you look at these, I've got one with the seam going in towards the center and one with the seam going out towards the edge. I did that so that I can line these up easily, where you just have two seams nesting together. If you want, you can leave them with the seams together or going in the same direction and just draw a line, 1/4 inch line on one side and the 1/4 of an inch line on the other side. But I found by ironing the seams in opposite directions, it's much easier. There you go. Now they meet in the center. I did iron this seam open also. Almost done. All right. Now all we have to do is iron these two parts on. Make sure I got the right side. And then we'll put it onto the block. Join this side and that side. I ironed these seams out. And all I'm gonna do is nest this one. Nest this one. And you can do the 1/4 inch here. I would sew it from this side because you don't want to go below that point right there, which is 1/4 inch, because then you're going to cut your point off. You should have drawn this 1/4 inch line first, but almost done. I'm not going to sew the other side because Noah is getting antsy, but it's done the same way as this side. One more. All right. Let's see how it goes. Again, you can do a scant 1/4 inch if you need to first, just to make sure you have plenty of room. There you go. When you're sewing this side, you want to make sure that you don't cross over this X. Same thing on the other side. And then all you would do is these two. But you've seen me do it. It's not difficult. And I'm going to leave you right there so I can let Nola out because she's getting antsy. But there is block 21. I just got to sew this one last side on. But that's it for this week. We only have 3 blocks plus sashing to do. We're getting there. I'm going to try and at least hope next week to have 3 blocks for you so that we can just, the following class, which will be the last class. Actually, next week is Saturday. It's the Saturday before Easter. It'll be fun. I'll just do one quick class. We might change the time so that it can be done early, but I'm hoping to have 3 blocks for you. If not, we'll finish up the following week. That's it. You know where I am if you need me. Have a great weekend, everybody.